So 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. My mom and I went to the doctor's office to go get a physical, and a few weeks earlier, I had a blood test done to see what I had a skin infection, and we didn't know what it was. My mom asked about the blood test, and they told me that my blood sugar was 480 3 weeks earlier, and that day I was 518. So if you don't know, normal people are supposed to have blood sugar between 80 and 120. But those who don't have type 1 diabetes. But there's a really cool foundation called Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation that I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about today. That's purpose is to eradicate type 1 diabetes. So what is type 1 diabetes? According to the Mayo Clinic, type 1 diabetes is a genetic disorder and it's chronic, so you have it lifelong. The pancreas, which everybody has, makes beta cells, and these beta cells break down sugar in your body. The University of Pittsburgh Medical Center talks about diabetes a little bit more and tells us that without insulin, cells can't have energy. So your body can't have energy, which means things start to damage over time and nothing works out. So it's not a very good disease to have. What other kinds are there? There's actually 3 types of diabetes. The University of Pittsburgh Medical Center talks about it a little bit more and tells us that there's type 1, which is also called juvenile type diabetes because it's in children a lot. This is the most severe because your body is not making any insulin, so it can't break down foods the right way. There's type 2, which usually is found in adults and can be reversed, so it's less severe. By eating correctly and exercising more, you can get rid of diabetes. Where in type 2, the pancreas doesn't make enough insulin. And then for the 3rd type, there's gestational, which can occur whenever women are pregnant. There are a lot of hormone issues. The pancreas can go into a flux and not make enough insulin or just kind of stop overall. The Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, or JDRF, is an awesome program that was founded in 1970 by Lee Ducott with a couple of other parents who just had kids who had type 1 diabetes and they wanted to get rid of it. So they talk about how on their website, I quote them and say, they achieve a world without diabetes. That is their goal, is to achieve a world without diabetes. And their mantra is less until none. So they want less and less diabetics to be diagnosed until there's absolutely no more and there's a cure. It's a worldwide organization, so there's 17 countries that they are partnered with, and they have places there for type 1 diabetes where they do research and they do human trials with different types of insulins and different kinds of innovations in order to help diabetics. And more than 80% of the funds, according to their website, goes straight into research, which is nice to hear that they're spending their money wisely and it's going straight into research for diabetics and for diabetes. Here's a chart I put together that just shows a little bit more statistics from the JDRF website. It's diagnosed diabetics in the U.S. between 1980 and 2010. In 1980, there were 5.6 million, and then 2010, there were 20.8 million diabetics. And a lot of this doesn't necessarily mean increasing diabetes, but increasing being able to diagnose it and seeing the signs. But it is good because we are noticing more and we're being able to help it and move it along and eradicate the disease. How long have we lived with diabetes? According to the Defeat Diabetes Foundation, in 1552 BC, a long time ago, an Egyptian physician wrote down some notes about a patient who had frequent urination problems. Frequent urination being all the time, like many times during the night and just a lot of different times. So that was the first, and that's one of the symptoms of diabetes. So that was the first real occurrence of it that we have marked down in history. But it is getting better because in 1897, Defeat Diabetes marked that a 10-year-old who was diagnosed with diabetes would only live for 1 more year. A 30-year-old who was diagnosed with diabetes would only live for 4 more years. And a 50-year-old who was diagnosed with diabetes would only live for 8 more years. But in 2004, they showed that even though diabetics tend to still only have marked out 15 years less of their lifetime compared to the general population, it is getting less. And there's so much more research going into it, trying to get rid of this disease and figure out what the cure would be. So how can you help? If you were to want to donate to this organization, JDRF, that is one way you can help. You can fundraise. You can also just give your time. You can give your time and you can give your efforts into this organization. You can be an advocate, so you can go to jdrf.org and you can sign up for a chapter, or you can just share stuff on your social media talking about diabetes and just making more people aware of this disorder and how people can help, showing how people can help. And you can tell your story. You can say, hey, I have a friend, Ashley, who has diabetes, and I've seen her have to live with this. I've seen her have to check her blood sugar all the time and give herself insulin and count her carbs, and just make more people aware of what this is and how they can help. And there's also really fun activities that JDRF does put on, like Walk for a Cure. This is a picture in San Antonio in October 2015 of a huge group of people who are involved in this JDRF, and they are walking for this, raising money, getting together with friends, and helping JDRF in their cause. So in conclusion, diabetes is a genetic condition that is lifelong, and JDRF, their goal is to have less until none. They are working towards this with research and putting their funds all in the right places. And you can help if you want to. There's 29.1 million people as of 2012 from the Center for Disease Control that are living with diabetes in the U.S. today. And you are able to help with that if you so choose. So you can help eradicate diabetes with JDRF and help me not have to use it anymore. So if y'all have any questions.
Do you have any friends that have diabetes?
I have met a few people who do have diabetes. It's become more aware as I've come to college and seen more people who have it. Not as many as you would think, but I have met a few, and it's interesting to compare stories and just differences in how we live our lives or how we were diagnosed or those kinds of things.
Are there clubs or support systems at Texas A&M?
There are. There's one here for diabetics, and it's called Diabetic Echoes. It's actually a United States chapter program. There's only a few people in it right now, but it's growing, and it's a great support system.
You said that type 2 diabetes, people can get rid of it by eating healthy and working out. Does the same go for type 1, or does that just improve it to where it fluctuates less?
It only helps them monitor it more, but they can't reverse diabetes, only type 2.
Okay.
What about family members? Is there more of a chance that family members can have type 1 diabetes once one person is diagnosed, like siblings or sisters or brothers?
Yeah, it's genetic, so people who have had it in the past generations can create diabetes as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.